Hi everyone. Thank you for joining the channel Journey to Financial Freedom on this Money Monday. In the video, we will be discussing ways to build wealth. So let's get started. First, you want to contribute to your 401k, and you definitely want to contribute up to the company match percentage. Company match is nothing but the money that your employer contributes to your 401k account up to a certain percentage of your salary. So let's just say, for instance, your salary is $60,000 and you contribute 5% of your salary to your 401k, which is $3,000 annually. Your company matches your 3% contribution dollar for dollar up to the 5%. And then they deposit that into your 401k. So now the total contribution to your 401k account for the year is $6,000. The $3,000 that came from you and the $3,000 that came from your employee, which was the company match. You also want to keep in mind that companies also offer partial matches, which could be 50 cents for every dollar that you contribute to your 401k. But it all just depends on the percentage, and it also depends on the company's policy. Next, you want to start an emergency fund. Now, this is very important. You want to save an emergency fund for 3 to 6 months of expenses. And I would suggest, in order to start this emergency fund, is to open up a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account gives you way more interest than a traditional banking account, which gives us 0.01 or 0.05% all year. Now, when you select the high yield savings account, you do want to select one that has a 3% or more interest rate. I have done a little research and I am suggesting 4. I actually have 3 of these myself, which is the My Banking Direct, Wellston Atlantic Bank, and CIT Bank. So now let's go into a little more detail of each of the high yield savings accounts. We have the My Banking Direct. Keep in mind, these are online accounts. You do have access to your money as you would any other banks, but they're just banks that are actually online. You can't physically go to them. In this particular high yield savings account, the annual percentage year yield is 4.55%. In order to get this APY, you must deposit a minimum of $500. Now, our next high yield savings account is Western Atlantic Bank. This is their premier savings account, and it has a 4.04% yield. And the great thing about this particular bank is you only have to have a minimum balance of 1 cent in order to get the APY. However, you do have to deposit $500 in order to open up the account. And then our next high yield savings, CIT Bank. They actually have 2 good savings accounts. The first one is their Platinum Savings, which offers 4.35%, but you have to have a minimum balance of $5,000 in order to get that APY. And in order to open the account, you must deposit $100. The second account is the Savings Connect, which offers a 4% APY. And in order to get that APY, there is no minimum balance. However, you do have to deposit $100 to open up an account. Our final high yield savings account suggestion is SoFi. SoFi offers a 4% APY. The minimum balance is 0 to get that 4% APY. And you can also earn up to $300 with direct deposits. There are some terms that apply, so you definitely want to do your research and go online and research these particular high yield savings accounts to see all of the details and terms and conditions of opening up the account. Now, as for SoFi, savings account will give you the 4% APY. However, the checkers account will only give you 0.5% APY. And then this is just some little disclosures of when they mean direct deposit. That means a recurring deposit from income. It can be deposited either into your checkings and or savings. It has to come from payroll, your pension, any government benefit payments like Social Security. And then it gives you some additionals, but you can definitely do your research. You can also do a Google search of high yield savings account, and it'll give you an entire list of other options of high yield savings accounts that you can use. Now on to the next way to build wealth. That is opening up a Roth IRA. And this is awesome to open. The benefits are your earnings grow tax-free because this is money that is coming from income that taxes has already been taken out of. Withdrawals are usually tax-free and penalty-free as long as you've had the IRA open for 5 years and you are 59 and a half. The other advantages is inheritable, meaning you can transfer it to your children for generational wealth. You can also at any time withdraw the money that you have invested without penalty. So let's just say you deposited $5,000 and emergency comes up and you need $1,000. Well, you can take out that $1,000 without being penalized because that $5,000 that you put in was money that has already been taxed. The only thing that you cannot take out is the interest that you have earned on the investment. If you take out the interest, then you will be charged taxes as well as penalty fees. Now, the next step is how the Roth IRA. So the first thing you would do is you need a brokerage account, and there are different brokerage accounts that you can use, or companies that you can use. You can Google brokerage accounts and it'll come up with the entire list. However, most of the times the top 3 are Fidelity, Vanguard, and Charles Schwab. After you open up your brokerage account, then you have to contribute to your brokerage account. Now, last year for 2024, you had up to contributing up to $7,000. If you have not done so, you still have time. You have up to April, I think it's April 1st or April 15th, but you can definitely do your research to find out the cutoff date to contribute the maximum amount of money to your Roth IRA for the 2024 year. Now for 2025, the max is $7,000. And there's several ways that you can max out the $7,000. You can actually pay $583.33 monthly, and you can have it coming out of your paycheck every month, or you can actually divide it up. So most people get paid bi-weekly, so you can have $291.64 taken out of your check automatically every pay period and then transferred to your Roth IRA account in the brokerage account. Now, after you contribute the money, in order for it to start growing interest, you have to invest the money. Some people make the mistake is they transfer the money to their brokerage account and they never do anything with it, but you have to invest that money. And investing that money, you can invest it in target date funds, which are actually funds that you can select based off the year that you plan to retire. You can also invest the money in exchange traded funds, which are ETFs, or you can also invest them in stocks. And we will go into more detail in what the exchange traded funds are. Now, you've got your brokerage account open, you've contributed the money that you want to contribute, and now it's time to invest. These are just some suggestions on the type of ETFs or stocks that you can have in your Roth IRA. Once again, I'm not a financial advisor, so you definitely want to do your due diligence before you decide to invest in any of these or any other suggestions that you might see or find when you do your research. Exchange traded funds. Exchange traded funds are just is a fund that holds a group of stocks. And in that particular fund, it could have Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. It just depends on what type of exchange traded fund that you pick. And so instead of having you pick individual stocks, you have a fund that has some of the best stocks in that particular fund. So if one of those particular stocks start doing bad in that fund, the manager takes it out and replaces it with a different stock to help balance out the ETF. Now, there's three types of ETFs that you want to have in your Roth IRA account: foundation ETFs, dividend ETFs, and growth ETFs. Foundation ETFs are basically ETFs that gives you a broader diversification of the stock market, like the VOO, which is the Vanguard 500 S&P 500. That has the top 500 U.S. stocks in that particular fund. Or you can do VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index ETF. But it's just your particular preference. To be honest, I actually have in my Roth IRA, I have the VOO and VTI, but you can choose just one. The VTI is cheaper than the VOO, and they do overlap some. So you just choose which one is best for you. Then after you choose your foundation ETF, you want to choose a dividend ETF. That is a ETF that pays you a dividend. Some of them pay monthly, quarterly, and annually. Some of the best ones are SCHD, which is just Charles Schwab, US Dividend ETF, or you can do the Vanguard High Yield Dividend Index ETF, which is VYM. In my Roth, I actually have the VYM. And then the last thing you want to have is an ETF in your Roth IRA that has growth. The VGT is one that is a growth ETF, and it is a Vanguard Information Technology Index Fund ETF. Or you can go with QQQ, which is an Invesco QQ Trust Account ETF. But once again, it is just all in your preference. You do your research and you decide which one of these ETFs you want to include in your Roth IRA based off of the share price and any other factors that you want to look at. Another thing that you can do also is stocks. The only thing, if you decide to do stocks, if that particular stock goes bad, then there's nothing to balance that particular portfolio because you're only putting in stocks. Remember, with ETFs, it's a group of stocks or funds of stocks. So if one does bad, remember it is replaced by another to balance out the portfolio. Some good stocks, if you decide to do stocks in your Roth IRA, are Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, or Meta. Once again, please do your research and you decide which one fits best for your budget and your investing strategy. Now, our fourth way to build wealth is a high yield savings account. And some people leave this, is a health savings account. A health savings account is one of the accounts that most people leave out. It is actually offered through your job if you have your health plan that's a high deductible health care plan, and you want to contribute the maximum yearly if you're able. The good thing about the health savings account is tax deductible, and it also means it saves you on taxes. So if you make a salary of $60,000 and you decide you want to contribute $7,000 annually to your health savings account. So instead of being taxed on $60,000, you will only be taxed on $53,000 because remember, you contributed $7,000 annually to your health savings account. Remember, it helps on tax deductions. Also, any money that is put in your health savings account, it grows tax-free in the earnings. It also has tax-free distribution. distributions for any type of qualified medical expenses. So if you go to the doctor, those co-pays that you have to pay, for medicine that you have to pay, if any type of devices, equipment that you have to get, you can actually use the money out of your health savings account to pay for these expenses. And usually your company will give you a debit card and you can pay for these expenses with the debit card. You also want to keep in mind that your health savings account, it is yours. You own it. The entire balance always rolls over yearly and the funds do not expire. Another great thing about the HSA is that you can invest your HSA funds in the stock market. So you can choose any of that money. So let's say if you have $6,000 in your HSA and you want to invest 3,000, well, you can keep 3,000 for any medical expenses, and the other 3,000, if you choose to do so, can be invested in the stock market. You can choose different stocks, different target date funds based off when you want to retire, or you can choose any ETF that meets your needs or strategies. And then also what is great about the HSA is at the age of 65, you can use your HSA funds for any expense. Now let's go to investing in the stock market. That's another way to build wealth. We have to keep in mind just working a 9 to 5 alone will not help us build wealth. When we learn more, we do better. We grew up different ways as in our when we grew up. When I was growing up as a child, my parents never taught us about investing because I don't think they knew that much about investing. But as I got older, I started researching and finding out myself. And once again, like I said, when you know better, you do better. And remember, in order to build wealth, it has to be beyond your 9 to 5 income. Building wealth there, remember that can be saving up for that emergency savings funds to get interest on the money that you put in your high yield savings account. It could be investing in the stock market with stocks, bonds, ETFs, but you have to do something besides just your 9 to 5 if you really want to build wealth, generational wealth for you and your children. So some reasons to invest in the stock market is wealth accumulation. The stock market has always provided higher returns over any investments, such as money that you put in your savings or checkings accounts or even bonds. Another thing is you have ownership in companies, meaning if you decide you want to invest in the stock Apple, you actually own a share of Apple. Anytime they're making any profits, you make profits. And the more shares that you have of a stock or ETF, that is when you see the magic. That's when you really see the money and the interest rolling in when you have 125 shares or more. Another good thing about investing in the stock market is liquidity. The stocks they're generally easy to buy and sell, and they provide a high level of liquidity compared to other investments like real estate. Liquidity means, once again, you can easily buy them and easily sell them if you need money at a certain particular time or for an emergency. Another thing is diversification. The stock market allows you to spread your investments across different type of industries and sectors, which reduce your risk. So you don't want to put all of your money in one particular stock. You want to spread your money across different stocks or ETFs so you can balance any types of ups and downs that definitely will occur in the market. Another great thing about investing in the stock market is dividend income. Like I was talking about before, some companies pay regular dividends, and that's basically income. It can either be paid monthly, quarterly, or annually. And lastly, compound growth. That is the magic sauce. Reinvesting your dividends or capital gains that you earn from any of your stocks or your ETFs that you invest in, they significantly increase the overall return of your investment. And then that is when you see the power of compounding. Thank you for watching today with me. And if this information was helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you can get the most current videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.